Howdy, folks, and welcome back. Hope you're all blessed and doing all right out there. Well, for today's video, I'll make a little adjustment. I present to you American Passenger Trains and Locomotives Illustrated. 1 second, please. Alright, sorry guys, I had to get some water. It took like a second to pause and play. Anyway, this book features some of the best passenger trains we ever had in American railroad history. From some of the early trains pulled by steam engines to those pulled by modern diesels. It does not feature Amtrak, surprisingly. But still, this is pretty neat. Anyway, let's take a look and see what this one has to offer. First of all, normally I don't talk about the cover of a book, as you guys may have noticed, but I gotta point out, I like this. You have the Santa Fe, another central train, and a steam engine that could be the Southern Crescent. The artwork is very nicely done. I need to give a shout out to somebody who draws trains for a living, Andrew Fletcher. You can find him on YouTube and Facebook. I was not paid to give it to him, but Andrew Fletcher, there's a shout for you, my friend. Go check him out, guys. He's made some pretty cool artwork. He made a happy birthday train thing for me with all kinds of Texas railroads on it. I love it. Andrew, if you're watching, man, keep up the good work. A few adjustments, and we're off. Passenger trains have been in this country for a long time now, and this book features a fair majority of the best ones we had back then. You could ride a train any place you wanted to back in those days. The car and the airplane were far from being successful, but they were coming in slowly. Passenger trains have been around in the world since the very early part of the 19th century. So here we go, part 1, the 1890s to the 1920s. Today, passenger service is run by Amtrak because, well, it basically saved passenger trains in the way. And that's all I'm going to say about the history of it. We're just going to look at the different trains we had. The Empire State Express, Pennsylvania Limited, Lakeshore Limited, and the 20th Century Limited. Some of my favorite trains. The Empire State Express was a fast passenger service ran by the New York Central. And what they have that makes them so famously known is the 999, an American type, which broke a record. And there it is right there. To this day, it is still the first man-made vehicle to ever go past 100 miles an hour. I think it went about 113. I forget, I'll have to look. It's a beautiful engine, and you can find it today on display at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. This shows you how stylish the trains were back in those days. It was just so much fun to ride back then. You talk to people. This was before phones were invented. 20th Century Limited, Pennsylvania Limited, and the Broadway Limited. There's one of the Pennsylvania's 462 Pacifics. They were known for the K4 Pacifics for the most part. The Pennsylvania Railroad had some of the best trains ever. The North Coast Limited. This train was ran by the Northern Pacific Railroad. One of the best ones you could have been on. Northern Pacific. The Oriental Limited. Now that's a train I'm not familiar with. Who runs it? Great Western Railway. Huh. Where was part of the Chicago and Great Western? But there it is right there in all its glory. Very nice looking. The Olympian. The Milwaukee Road ran several trains, and this is one of them. And the Olympian was pulled by an engine like this. This is known as a bipolar. Very successful. It was very successful and very quiet, and a pretty interesting looking engine. And in fact, this was the inspiration for a lot of trains that Lionel made back in the day during the template train age. The Alton Limited. I think this was part of the Boston and Albany Railroad, or the Boston and Maine. Yeah, maybe the next page will have a drawing of it. And it does. It doesn't say who it ran for. If you guys know, tell me in the comments. The Crescent Limited. This train was operated by the Southern Railway. It was a pretty cool train as well. And there it is right there, and one of the engines that pulled the train. Yeah, it was just fun to ride these back then. The Empire Builder. This was the flagship train for the Great Northern Railroad, named after its founder, James J. Hill, who was nicknamed the Empire Builder. And today, Amtrak still carries the name Empire Builder for the same train. Okay, the 1930s. This was considered the golden age of train travel in the country. The M10000 and the Pioneer Zephyr. These were two of the early streamliners ever built, but there's controversy over which one came first. I've been told the Zephyr, then I was told no, it was the M10000. I don't know. Tell me, guys, who did it first? The Zephyr was a beautiful three-articulated car train set. It was fast, it was sleek, it was bold, and it was lightweight too. Also featured in a film called The Silver Streak. Here is the M10000, another beautiful lightweight train. Traveled very fast and went across the country on a tour. This train was so light, only a handful of people could pull it down the tracks. It was just that good of an engine. Good of a set. The George M. Pullman. So George Pullman developed passenger car styles, or let me rephrase that, rewind. George Pullman developed a style of passenger cars that is still in use today when passenger cars are being manufactured. The city streamliners. So you had the city of Portland, the city of Salima, the city of San Francisco, the city of New Orleans, and just all kinds of different trains. There's one right there. That's a pretty cool looking train right there. Which one is that? The city of Los Angeles for Union Pacific. And I gotta say it, this is when Los Angeles was still Los Angeles. The Green Diamond. Now this was basically an older sister of the M10000, operated by the Illinois Central. A very interesting, beautiful looking train set, if I do say so myself. To my knowledge, there's only a handful of articulated train sets left in preservation from the old days. There's a couple of Zephyrs left in the Electroliner, and I think that's about it. The Royal Blue, Cabinet Limited, and the Abraham Lincoln. The Royal Blue was a train ran by the Baltimore and Ohio and was one of their best passenger trains. The Capital Limited, I think, was ran by the Baltimore and Ohio, and I really have no idea who ran the Abraham Lincoln. Wait, is that it? I think it is. The Rockets. The Rock Island Line, which was a mighty fine line, ran several trains with only one specific engine, known as a TA or T-unit locomotive. The Rock Island was the only railroad to purchase these, and they had about 4 total in their roster. Beautiful, sleek streamliners. Their best known train was the Rock Island Rocket. They also had the Golden Rocket and the Texas Rocket. The 20th Century Limited and the Broadway Limited. The 20th Century Limited was New York Central's flagship passenger train, if not one of them. It was big, bold, sleek, and beautiful. And there was even a movie made about it called the 20th Century Limited. I forgot to mention, there was one made called Broadway Limited as well. Both of the movies are old and funny. Check them out. You might like them. Henry Dreyfuss designed this locomotive and many others for the New York Central Railroad. The Broadway Limited was a competitor of the 20th Century Limited. It ran on the Pennsylvania Railroad. And they both ran on the same tracks, and they often had a race. I'm told the Pennsylvania Railroad won a lot more than the New York Central did. They were just competing for better passenger service. Raymond Loewy worked for the Pennsylvania Railroad and designed this locomotive right here, the GG1. He also designed something that you might be familiar with, the Coca-Cola bottle. The GG1 is considered to be the most famous electric locomotive in the world. And why not? It's just so gorgeous looking. There's a handful in preservation, and there's been quite a bit of talk about possibly bringing one of these back to service. The problem is, the original electronics caused thyroid cancer. Thyroid cancer to the engineers who ran them. I say, take out the old electronics, get it out, put something new in, and make it run. But the problem, though, they're running to is people complain, but it's not original. Okay, who cares? If they can get a GG1 fixed up and running safely, I say go for it. It may have new electronics, but who cares? If they can make it work, make it work. Better to be safe than sorry. The Chief and the Super Chief. The Santa Fe ran some famous trains back then, including the Valley Flyer, the Blue Goose right here, and the Super Chief. The Super Chief was their flagship train, which ran across from Chicago to San Francisco, I believe. And it was pulled by different locomotives and had a variety of passenger cars. Some other trains on the Santa Fe were the El Capitan, the Grand Canyon Limited, the Chief, and the Texas Chief. The Hiawatha and the 400s. The Milwaukee Road had to come out with their trains eventually, and they came out with the Hiawathas. There are quite a few different Hiawatha trains and quite a few engines, and these are the two best known, the A2 Atlantic and the F7 Hudson. Both beautiful and handsome at the same time. Sadly, unfortunately, and I got to point this out in this book, a lot of these trains you guys are seeing are gone. I don't mean preserved. I don't mean given to a tourist railroad. I mean gone. Nobody thought to save these beautiful historic pieces of equipment. They were scrapped. It breaks my heart, but it happened. But at least we have books, documents, DVDs, videos, and people who talk about this stuff to keep the history alive. Now, the 400 ran for the Chicago Northwestern. It was one of their passenger trains right there. The Silver Meteor. The Silver Meteor ran for the, Seaboard, it looks like. I don't know much about this train. I just know about the Orange Blossom Special that they ran. And that was one of my favorite train songs I listened to when I was a kid. I used to hear like the instrumental version all the time. The Daylight. The Southern Pacific had quite a variety of streamlined passenger trains and, what am I trying to say? Rewind. The Southern Pacific had quite a variety of streamlined steam trains and diesel trains. Their best known ones were the Daylight, the San Joaquin Daylight, and the Sunbeam, along with the Sunset Limited and many other trains they ran. The GS class locomotives did a pretty good job, and there's one left, which is the 4449. 1940s to the 1950s, probably the last hurrah for trains. The Tennessean and the Southerner. The Tennessean ran for the Southern Railroad, but what's funny is, a lot of times, a Norfolk and Western J would pull the passenger cars. I had a whole set at one point in time that had the engine and all the cars and documentation, and I sold it, and I regret it. I wish I'd kept it. It was pretty cool. The City of Miami and the Panama Limited. Now, I'm not familiar with those trains right there, unfortunately. I mean, if I find something I don't know, I'm not afraid to be honest with you guys. I mean, I don't want to leave you hanging, and tell you a lie about something I might not know historically. Let's see, the Banner Blue and the Bluebird. It looks like these are Wabash trains. The Empire Builder. There we go. That's a train I'm familiar with, and that's one of my favorites right there. Yeah, the Empire Builder had some of the best train service you could have gotten back then, and some of the best passenger cars to ride in as well. Ah, there's a goat with what's he holding? Oh, he's holding drinks. It looks like a little cake or some cheese. The goat was the Great Northern's symbol. Actually, it was a mountain goat. So it's pretty cool. Almost 1,000 miles of mountains. There's one of the dome cars right there. And when it comes to the Wabash, the only train I can think of is the Wabash Cannonball. The North Coast Limited. The flagship train for the Northern Pacific Railroad, and one of my favorites. Very beautiful too, with its own unique design. The 20th Century Limited and the Broadway Limited. Here we are again revisiting these trains, but it's a bit later, it looks like. You guys may be noticing something with all these trains. You're seeing a pattern. There was more of a variety to choose from back then to ride on instead of just Amtrak like what we have today. It was more fun too. The Meteor Firefly and the Texas Special. Well, it's two. So the Meteor and the Firefly were ran by the St. Louis and San Francisco or Frisco Railroad. Fun side fact, I gotta point this out every time. Although it was called the St. Louis and San Francisco, it never made it to California, but they tried. The Texas Special was a train that ran daily between Dallas and Houston and was operated by both the Frisco and the Katy. I don't know of any other passenger trains that share that, but I think that's actually pretty cool. The Sunshine Special, Eagle, and the Texas Special. So these trains were ran by the Texas Pacific and the Missouri Pacific. Amtrak uses the name Texas Eagle for the train that runs from San Antonio up to Chicago. What's funny is, though, the original Texas Eagle never ran anywhere near DFW, nor did the Eagle. You had the Texas Triangle instead. But these trains were pretty cool. The California Zephyr, the silver thread through the West, the most talked about train in America. This was the best train to ride of everything we've seen so far in this book, in my opinion. Ran by 3 different railroads, the Western Pacific, the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy, and the Denver and Rio Grande Western. Just an amazing train to talk about and ride on. The Shasta Daylight, another one of SP's trains that ran off in California. Pretty cool. Oh, there's an Alco this time. Very nice. Oh, I don't pay attention to the glare enough, do I? Go away, glare. Oh, whatever. The Sunset Limited. This train passed through Texas originally on its way from California down to Florida. Now Amtrak does it, but they've kept the name the Sunset Limited. Let's see the... How's that? Python Arrow, I think? I may mispronounce that. I don't know much about it, but it looks like it ran for the Norfolk and Western Railway. Pretty cool. The Olympian Hiawatha. This train also ran for the Milwaukee Road as well. There's that locomotive I like so much. I forget what that's called, but that's one of my favorite diesels that the Milwaukee Road had. It had such a unique design to it. There's one of the dome cars and the observation car. Pretty cool. Let's see, the Capital Limited and the Phoebe Snow, I think. Yeah, these trains are just nice altogether. I wish they'd stuck around a bit longer. The City Streamliners. Even the Challenger for the Union Pacific had some streamlining and was painted up in this beautiful Greyhound paint scheme. Yeah, it's just really sad that, this kind of stuff is gone now. But not forgotten by people like me. The Super Chief. There we go. Everything had to change over the years as time went by, as you guys can see. Train travel was amazing. It still is, in a way. But now people want to be on their phones and their tablets or something instead of looking out the window or talking to people. I'd rather look out the window when I ride the train, just maybe play some jazz music or some bluegrass or something like that to kind of make the ride more fun. The El Capitan. Now here's a fact you guys may not know. The El Capitan passenger cars were double-decker cars. And today a lot of people associate double-decker cars with Amtrak or some commuter railroads like Caltrans or Metra. But the Santa Fe and the C&W had quite a few, as you can see right here, and they were pretty cool. Some of Amtrak's first cars came from the El Capitan, believe it or not. The Silver Meteor. What's that? Oh, it's a seaboard train, huh? Pretty neat. Okay, there's the index right there. And there you have it. And yes, I know it's damaged a bit. I did that. What a pretty cool book. Beautiful, colorful trains all around. So yeah, maybe someday someone will raise billions of dollars and start rebuilding all these trains and bringing them back. Hey, one can dream, can't he? Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, so please be safe around trains. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And remember, Jesus is Lord. Happy rails, guys. See y'all next time.